People think that Christians or like people who are of the Jewish, Muslim, or Christian faith are the religious people. There are religious people within those faiths, of course, because religion is all about routine. It's all about practice, right? There are some people who are not a part of any faith and are religious. And I can tell you, I have met the most religious people when I was in the conscious community, where everything is about, you can't do this, can't do that, don't use this kind of soap, drink this, don't eat this, don't. Everything is a don't. And it reminds me of Colossians chapter 2, where Paul was talking about, because you have been freed because of your knowledge in Christ and your acceptance of the gospel of Christ, you're free in him. Why do you heap upon yourself all of these rules from the world? And one thing I'm going to do is use what works for me at this point in time in my life. I was walking around struggling with my hygiene, listening to these folk. I do what works for me now. Before, I was trying to use deodorants that did not have aluminum in them and was struggling because certain deodorants, you will put it on and 2 hours later, you're stinking. Or it has that old deodorant smell like you've had the deodorant on all day long and you just put it on 2-3 hours ago. I was using certain feminine washes and they were causing me to have yeast infections when they're supposed to be pH balanced. And yeah, like I was just like, certain soaps I was using, it's just not giving. Like, it's not giving. Ever since I changed up my body care routine, I smell good. I feel good. My skin looks good. Like, I also have HS. And so I definitely have to do what works for me because I have skin that is prone to boils and cysts. So I don't really got time for what y'all be talking about. And yeah, y'all, do what works for you because you will be walking around here stinking, listening to these natural herbalist folk. Listen, nothing wrong with going back to Mother Nature. But when it comes to soap, like hygiene and cleanliness, you really have to use what works for you or you will be walking around stinking. After 3-4 hours of getting out the shower, you should not stink and you just took a shower 3 to 4 hours ago. I don't care how much you're sweating. You shouldn't stink. And so with that being said, do what works for you. Because let me tell you something, like I said, religious folk is not just people that are a part of a faith. It be people out here, because I was like that too. Always trying to tell somebody what they should be using on their body and what they should be using on their skin. It's not that deep. It's not that serious. It's chemicals in everything. So it ain't that deep. Now, when it comes to put what I put in my body, yeah, I drink my chlorophyll water. I take my sea moss. I try to take my vitamins. You know what I'm saying? I do the most. I try to do the most when it comes to what I put in it. I also know that our skin is the largest organ on our body. So I do try to be mindful of the type of products that I put on my skin. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, I know what works for me. I know what does not cause me no problems. And so I'm going to continue to use it. I went right back to Dove. It's never done me no wrong. And I have not had any issues. Remember I told you I was using certain feminine washes and I was getting yeast infections constantly, all the time. Every time I looked up, I had a yeast infection. I was irritated down there. Something was going on. It was always something. When I tell you, I went back to the sensitive skin. I started using the Dove body wash down there and baby washcloths. Changed my life. I don't experience any yeast infections. I don't experience any irritation or nothing. And the funny thing is, the sensitive skin Dove body wash has a slight fresh scent. It's not scentless like the Dove bar soap. I was scared about that, but I have no problems. No yeast infections, no thrown off pH, no weird smells, no nothing. In my natural scent now, very little to none, not to be TMI, but very little to no smell. Do what works for you. Don't be listening to what these people be talking about. Last but not least, not to mention that there are some religious Christian folk. There was a lady that sat up on her YouTube channel talking about how you shouldn't shave and that you're going to hell for shaving, which is the most... Control your tongue, which is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in my life. How are you going to tell somebody how to take care of their feminine hygiene or just bodily hygiene? You know what I'm saying? For men who shave, I've had acne and bursa, so I'm supposed to suffer through ingrown hairs and boils and cysts because what? Because you say that I'm going to go to hell for shaving? That's not what my Bible says. Stop making up stuff. So yeah, there's religious people all around, whether they're in the Christian faith or whether they're not in the Christian faith. When I was in the conscious community, they had a whole bunch of set of rules. Don't touch, don't taste, don't do this, don't do that. And then in the Christian community, you know what I'm saying? Stuff that's completely made up. Stuff that is completely made up. Like, I didn't read this anywhere. From Genesis to Revelation, you just made this up. This is based off of your own personal whatever. If you personally feel like you don't want to shave, that's fine. If you personally feel like you don't want to use anything but natural soaps, that's fine. Don't look at somebody else and act like the most important thing that you need to be doing is following Jesus. You don't need to be worried about what somebody is putting on their skin or what they're not putting on their skin, if they're shaving, if they're not shaving, if they are vegan or if they eat meat. Chill out, because God made all things. All things were created to be consumed with thanksgiving. Don't do too much.